I don't know exactly how this video is going to turn out because I have a bunch of like pre-recorded content from this week that I am going to put together while I'm doing this. It'll all come out in the wash, as I like to say. So I don't know how long this is going to be, but hey, let's go on an adventure because I love adventures, don't I? So what will I get started with? We'll get started with works in progress because that's nice and easy. So I have one thing to show you, and it is this. You will notice this from last episode. This is a leg warmer, but what you might not notice is this is the second one, and this is the first one. So I have almost two. I'm almost done this one. I'm super close. So we'll do my very, very precise measurement technique. So I've got about that much left and then I'm finished, and then I will be very happy to wear them. So when they are finished, I will put some pictures somewhere, or I will have some video of me actually wearing them so we know what they look like on. So I guess that technically counts as a finished item and a work in progress. So I wish I could present more to you. So I have really not touched anything. I haven't touched my blankets. Oh, I finished. Okay. I can see them in my background here. I totally forgot about them. Let me grab them. I'll be right back. Okay, so you might remember, oh gosh, this was episodes and episodes ago, that I was talking about making some flowers for my niece, and here they are. So I made 2 tulips. I'm going to make another tulip to add to this bunch, but it'll be something that's like, there's a little guy and then like a nice poofy one. These ones are full of, what did I put in here? Oh, I had some yarn that I really didn't like, so I just cut it off and put it in here, and it's like, it made it like nice and squishy, so that's great. And then, yeah, there's the little one, and then I have 2 colors of lavenders. So this one, it's a little bit hard to see. It looks gray on camera, but it's a very light purple. It's called, I can't remember. It's in my Ravelry queue, which I will link to this specific project so that you guys can all see it. And then there's these dark purple ones, and these are super pretty. So I used a pattern for this, which was nice. And this, I just winged these ones. And this one, it didn't turn out, and I want to throw it away, but my kids said no, that they really liked it, and they thought my niece would like it. So it was supposed to be a rose, and it kind of worked out, but it kind of didn't at the same time. So I was just looking to see if I had more stuff to show you, but that is that. What I did with the stems is I have some plain ones here. So I have these really, really big bamboo skewers, and I wrapped them in a dark green yarn, and then it's not super pretty at the bottom, but I figured if they're in a vase, no one's really going to see it. But then I just hot glued the bottom and the top so that they wouldn't come unwound, and so far so good. So that is that. Those, I guess I finished off more than I thought I did this week. Oh, I have one upside down. Oh, here's one that doesn't have a flower on it. I'm super disorganized, in case you can't tell. All right, moving on, because I have nothing else work in progress for you. Unfortunately, it's summertime, and I don't get a lot done, and I wish I could say I'm sorry, but I'm not really. One thing that I purchased is we went to the big Walmart in Calgary. Where were we? I don't even remember. Anyway, I found this because they had a way bigger crafting section than I thought that they would. And they had this. It is a Knit Picks. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see that. Knit Picks brand ball winder, which I was like, I kind of want this. I've never had any ball winder before, so I don't have a thought of like how it compares to other ones, but all I know is that I really enjoyed ball winding. So I'm going to put some footage in here of some balls that I winded. So the ones that I chose to put for you, or to show you for demonstrating, is some worsted weight yarn, which would be a size 4, and then a size 5 bulky, which is the Bernat Wavelengths, Bernat Wavelength. And then, what was the small one? I think I might have wound up a ball of the Loops and Threads Wool Like for you in here, but I will do some voiceover and fun stuff so that I can describe how I put this together and how I figured out how it works and everything. I did have to read the instructions because I felt a little bit dumb. Oh yes, I had this wrong at the beginning, so I had to like put it back the right way because it was off to the side, because you can pull it. I haven't done this yet. I just usually leave it like this. But this part comes out and it'll fold over this way, so it doesn't go, it's not supposed to go that way. One thing, and I'm not going to necessarily fault the, oh yeah, I have to unscrew it. See, I had to read how this works. Anyway, one thing, and I'm not necessarily going to fault the spinner necessarily, is this mechanism here to hold onto tables and stuff. So our table is antique and it has like kind of a weird lip on it, and it's typically hard to get stuff to attach, but if I can, I will get something that will open really, really big, because the top, like obviously like most tables, it goes flat like this and then it comes back down and then there's a big flat part. But all of our stuff has like, it has like crown molding, like mini crown molding that goes up against the underside and then along the bottom. So it's really like wavy and it's not a good flat surface. We used to have this old table that was great. It was, again, similarly shaped, but the wood was completely flat. And oh yeah, the edges are like mitered on the table too, so it's not like a nice like square flat piece. I blame more the table, but I have had other items that, not ball winders obviously, but I've had other things that just have a really wide clamp and that I can stick onto the table, which works really well. This unfortunately is not one of them, and this little guy is just too short to make it work on my table, which is fine. I just ended up putting it on the arm of my Poang chair because it worked, so I would just sit and do it this way. But for demonstration purposes, I'm going to be showing you how I did it on the table, and then it's going to be like bumping around a whole bunch and stuff like that. But again, like I was just learning, I was trying to figure out, and I wanted to see how it put the ball, or spun the balls all together. So yes. All right, so we're going to do a little bit of an unboxing here, and I just love the French for ball winder. Bobinus is like my favorite thing in the world right now. So this is the first time I ever opened up this box, and I'm taking out all of the components. They all come in individually wrapped little bags of plastic, which I feel is a little bit excessive, but I understand that's how things get packaged. So, I mean, what are you going to do, right? So you can see right away that it's comprised of plastic and metal, and it's pretty simple. It comes in 3 pieces, at least mine did in my box. And I had to make sure that I actually looked at the instructions, and you'll see why in a few minutes here once I get it out, because even though it's simple to put together, I couldn't quite figure it out to begin with. So I've never had a ball winder before, so I was just figuring out how everything works and what it looks like and how it all goes together. This is one complaint that I have with this ball winder in terms of setting it up, is this little foot pedal section here. It has a funny little plastic knob that you can see right now at the top, and you have to take that out in order to slide the little foot holder thing. I'm not actually sure of the correct terminology, so someone is free to correct me on this. And I found that it was hard to get out of there because I couldn't seem to figure out which way to get it off. And then twisting it in was rather difficult. I mean, it could have been because I just recently cut my fingernail, so my fingers were not adept at this. But yeah, it seemed like it took a lot more effort than it should have. And then consequently, it also doesn't have a super tight fit. Once I had it screwed in as tight as I could, the little foot still moved back and forth quite a bit. So maybe that is part of the design. I'm not entirely sure, but I wouldn't say that it affected how I made any balls anyway. And at this point, you can see I was talking about earlier how the arm is off to the side and not at the front. So this is not the way that it looks when you roll the ball in there. I'm just trying to figure out here how to get it hooked onto the table. So I tried pushing it as far as I could on my wonky table. It's not really wonky though, but I mean, in terms of like new tables, it is. I got it on there pretty good. It never came off. I never had that kind of issue. It just wasn't as stable as one would like. The easiest part of the assembly is definitely putting that on. So here I found the rattiest ball of yarn I possibly could. The puppy got into one of my balls of wavelengths yarn. This is the amber color, which is kind of ironic because her name's Amber, which is similar. And it was really, really knotted, and I had just put it in a bag and forgotten about it because I was kind of mad. So it was nice to be able to put it back together. While I was doing this, I was watching TV. So I just had to make sure that I had a good length of yarn that was straight and untangled before I went ahead, because you can't put knots through there. It gets all wonky, and if you pull too tight, it causes little plastic gear mechanisms inside to slip, and it makes a terrible cracking sound. And I wouldn't be surprised that if over time you keep doing this, that it would wreck the whole mechanism. So just make sure that if you get this, that you treat it gently, because it's not really designed for heavy duty hardcore use or lots of knots or anything like that. I forget what I was watching on TV. I'll have to think about it. think it was some Western show for some reason, which is kind of weird because I don't really like Westerns. There, I set up a different camera angle and continued on with the same ball. So one skein of Bernat wavelengths did not fit into a single ball on the ball winder, which is completely fine. I actually prefer the size of the cakes that it ended up making at the very end because they stack so neatly and so nicely, and they're not unwieldy. And I think that the size that the balls end up coming out is really, really great, but that's just my opinion. This was such a satisfying task. Like, I can't even describe the level of happiness that this brought me to have my yarn so beautifully tidy. And I would like to apologize. I only have footage of rolling up this one particular ball of yarn. I thought I had the rest of them recorded, but it turns out my phone ate the files, which unfortunately is not uncommon when you're using your phone to take videos of stuff. So I only have footage of the Bernat wavelength ball being wound up. But I mean, it's still satisfying. I think it's satisfying to me. Maybe I'll make some of those ASMR videos of winding the balls of yarn up or something. Although I'd have to go buy yarn because I don't have any more right now. So I would give my ball winding experience using the Knit Picks ball winder an 8 out of 10. I have put every ball of yarn that I own into a cake. So I'm very happy about that. It went really well. It took me probably about 4 hours to do them all. And I had more yarn hiding around the house than I thought because I found 2 more balls of this really lightweight cotton, what was it? Red Heart It's a Wrap, I believe. I forget the colorway, but I have 2 whole balls of this, which it was something, and then I took it out. So this is this. I'm going to have to find something else to make with this, but that's that. I also have some footage that I'm going to share with you from our recent camping trip, which is where I did the majority of the crocheting on this. So you saw this one at about, I think it was roughly there. I didn't leave the stitch marker in for this because, oh yes, because I left the stitch marker in last time, but I had to frog a bunch because the ankle ended up being really, really tight. So I went back all the way back down to here, and I added 10 stitches into here because I wanted it baggy around the ankle because it was getting like, I couldn't even pull it up my calf, and my calves aren't really that big. So yes, that was the whole thing. And then I did, like I said I was going to do, I put the same ribbing up here that I had down here. I'm not sure if this is going to focus, but this is all front post double crochet right here. So I finished it up with, I think, 5 rows of that. I'll have to count because it does this. It's actually really, really helpful, but on the inside, it gets these lines where you do the front post because like the back sort of tips, or the top of the stitch will tip backwards, which creates these, but then it will help me count. Yeah, so I will show you that. That was very fun. If you're interested in that, it's not all going to be just crochet camping. It will be a little bit of other stuff too, and some pictures of the ducky because we took him camping and things like that. So, oh, did Daddy leave you? That's not very nice. Here's Lily. Come pet them. They need pets and love.
She got their phone behind legs.
I know.
Amber, I love you. I love you.
I thought you said wait.
It's like, good boy. You can play in the water.
No, we're not going to.
Oh, it just was music that you don't usually like, so that's why I was asking.
Oh, okay.
What's that?
Mommy, there's a
Blue
big
truck.
blue barn up there.
A blue? Oh, I wonder if it goes with that truck. I bet.
Well, there's a sign or something, so maybe it's a mechanic shop.
Oh, maybe. That makes sense. we're heading south. Because that looks intense.
Hi, big puppy.
Got your lappy? I got mine.
Look at my big lappy.
Aw, that's nice.
Yeah, that's your lap bear.
Yeah, he's a bear, honey.
My bear.
Lap bear.
He's a big, big puppy bear.
Yep. He's your big, big friend, like that show Carrie used to introduce. Like, he's my big friend, my big, big friend. That's really why I have not been crocheting a whole lot, is I have spent a lot of time putting these balls into cakes and organizing my yarn stash, and something else I did in Ravelry, which I felt was super nerdy, but I had a very strong sense of urgency to get this done, and I'm not entirely sure why, is I put a bunch of the yarn that I have that I can find labels and all of that stuff, is I put it into my stash in Ravelry. So none of it is for sale if you follow me over there, and if you don't, please go ahead. I'll leave all the information in the description box below. But yeah, so I put it in there just so I can somewhat keep track of what I have, because I did get rid of almost every single ball label. So now that that's happened, I can keep track of how much yarn I have, which that in the past, like, I wasn't all that concerned about, because I never really knew how much I was using. I guess, like, we have this little coffee scale, and I guess I could keep weighing the balls just and keep track of how many grams I have left, but that's not, like, I've never used that before, so I don't know. Where are they going with this? Sorry, I'm trying to think and talk at the same time. It's not going very well. But I updated a bunch of that, and that took a lot longer than I thought it was going to, because I photographed a bunch of the balls that I had created with the cake ball or cake binder thingy. And when I photographed them and then I was looking at them on the computer, the color was just so weird. Like, everything was just really, really gray. So I had to find a backdrop and a good day to photograph all of these balls of yarn, and I have to upload them, and then I have to save them, and I have to remember and put them up. And so that took way too long to do that, but I feel very yarny organized right now, and it really put into perspective how much yarn, even though I got rid of tons of it, I still have so much left, which is fine. I have plans for almost all of it, which is great. I'm excited for that. I'm gonna warn you, it's super windy here today, so if, like, my hair is, like, moving, that's what it is. I have an open window. It's extremely hot for me, but yeah, it's windy. I have the windows open. Everything is going really nice, and I love feeling outside. I love outside time just so much. This week, for my channel that you should check out is CROCH-EH. Sorry, I have a hard time saying it. I have right in front of me so that I made sure I said it. So it's CROCH, the number 8, number 0, and then H and D. And I thought this was great. So she is so funny, and I love it. So her channel's about, like, it's mostly about crocheting, but she also has a love for the 80s, which, of course, because I'm an 84 baby, what's not to love? And then also ADHD things, which I am adjacent to ADHD because 2 of my household members have that, and it's great. And I like seeing, it's really weird, but I like seeing how ADHD presents in other people, because I feel every time I see that, it gives me just another little tool to help those with ADHD in my life. So, but I mean, she has all kinds of stuff that she puts together, and it's amazing. And one thing that she's been featuring lately, since I've been subscribed anyhow, is she is making shawls that go along with pictures from a calendar for 2022. And oh my gosh, A, what a fantastic idea, and B, they are beautiful. She has an incredible eye for picking the colors out of the pictures. Like, I don't have that. I probably would be like, hey, I'm sending you a picture. Can you please help me with this? And hopefully she would, but who knows. But anyway, you should give her a check. She's great, great creator, great energy, great enthusiasm. I love her yarn stash. She's so funny and so sweet. So go check her out. This week I decided to start reading. I picked up John Muir's Wilderness Essays again, and where I had left off is where he had taken some artists out to, I want to say Mount Whitney. No, I'm mixing stories together now. Anyway, but that's where I had left off, and I picked up past that because there's a couple parts in the essays that are a little bit boring to me, but at the same time, John Muir has incredibly flowery language. So in some ways, it's a little distracting because I feel like perhaps this is just a me problem. I have gotten to the habit of wanting to read things that are very direct to the point and they don't have a lot of filler. So I don't care for that. I like to be able to think of the things myself. So like old books written in like, oh gosh, there was something that I read that was written in the 20s, I want to say, and they don't have like a lot of that like carry along language. Oh, it was Jack Kerouac on the road. That's it. So your imagination is really left to put things together, get sequences of events figured out, because they don't hold your hand to do that. And I as much as that book did, I was kind of like, after I read it, I really appreciated that and I really liked it because I feel like I remember a lot of the story because I had to do a lot of mental gymnastics to stay with the story because it moved really fast and it wasn't full of filler thing. Like there was some, don't get me wrong, but not to the degree I feel like a lot of books have now. So John Muir is like the opposite of that. He is full of flowery language, but I can take a step back from it and I can really appreciate how like he absolutely, someone's doing yard work. I'm just going to power through this right now because if I have to wait for silence, we will be here forever. We will die of old age. I really can appreciate that the reason he writes like that is because that is how he feels, like deep within the absolute marrow and bones of his soul, is that he is so in love and so awestruck and so like grateful for the California National Park that he is in, and he is desperate to convey that to others, and that comes across in his storytelling and his writing, even though it's filled with some other stuff. There's also quite a bit of language in there that I'm not 100% sure exactly what it means, so I'm always glad that my Kindle has the dictionary feature because there's the word thence, which I figured it's just like an antiquated form of then, because if you read thence as then, the sentence still makes sense, but I had to make sure, and true enough, it's very similar to the word then. But yeah, so there's things like that, but I am glad for dictionary feature. Also, it keeps track of all of the words I've ever looked up, which is kind of funny because sometimes you can definitely tell when I've had like a string of accidental lookups because I've had my thumb on the page with the line for a little bit too long. So I'm like, yeah, like I know what the word and is, like, thank you. So that's always fun. So if you are a fan of the outdoors, and he is the guy that the John Muir Trail is named for, which I believe part of it overruns the Pacific Crest Trail, but if not, they run parallel for a while or they're super near each other. I haven't looked at a map about it for a long time, but that's that guy. All right, everybody, I hope that you enjoyed this week's episode with a little bit of kind of everything put in here and different stuff recorded at different times. It feels really weird to record this, I'm not gonna lie, because this part, it feels very short, even though I know I have lots of other stuff to put in and buff this up. So hopefully that it all translates really well. So I don't know, if it goes all right, maybe I will be doing more things like that, who knows, but maybe not. Maybe I will just continue to do the sit down and chat like I usually do. But let me know in the comments if you like this format or if you prefer my old format where it's just you and I and we have a discussion. I don't mind. It doesn't hurt my feelings one way or another. I just would love to know. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you haven't already, you can click the like button. You can also subscribe, and then you will be notified when I post new episodes. I post on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a lovely day. Bye!